Here for first, the launch of our oversight kitty in terms of setting up the pace, organizing ourselves, and making sure that this team begins to engage itself and to understand their responsibility and role and their mandate in oversight in the county assembly. I have specifically mentioned to them we will minimize politics in this exercise because we want to discuss issues development for the next 3 years. The time for politics will come. And I've told this team to be fair, reasonable, and make sure that we follow the law. Our agenda is not to disagree with the MC or disagree with the governor. Our agenda is to try and look for a way on how we can work together with the three teams. That's the governor, the member of the county assembly, and the senator, so that we can deliver services to our people.
Now, doctors maintain that the strike is still on despite the Labour Court directive which suspended the strike on Friday as it entered its second day. KMPDU Secretary General Jowie Irungu has maintained a hard stance until the government addresses the issues they raised, including the employment of medical interns. Stanley Lugaria reports.
Solidarity forever, for the unions makes us strong.
Our strike commenced on 13th of March 2024, and today we are on the second day of the strike.
KMPDU Secretary General Jowie Irungu has maintained a hard stance that the doctors' strike is on course as it entered its second day on Friday until the government addresses the issues they raised, including employment of medical interns who have completed their studies, awaiting licenses to operate, among other issues.
But I must reiterate that I said last week that we had crossed the Rubicon and we need substantial measures on the issues that we had laid bare. And one of them is the posting of the medical interns. The second thing is the framework on how the basic salary that was signed in 2017 will be implemented. We also say that we need implementations and plan on negotiation of the new CBA. We want the doctors to continue graduating as postgraduates without really being worried about the financial implications.
Irungu insisted that the union is ready to engage the government in negotiations, while calling on members to consider the strike, indicating to have met stakeholders, denying that there is no any single official in the government who has reached out to the union to discuss and find solutions to their demands, revealing that they are ready for negotiations at any time they are called upon.
But one order that we must say is very important from the courts today has directed the government to sit down with the unions and get solutions to the issues that we so far put on our strike notice. And therefore, as a union, we want to reinforce that we are available for discussions today. We are available for discussions tomorrow. We are available for discussions on Sunday and even on Monday. We have no holidays or no weekends because we know that we offer essential services.
General has criticized the Labour Court following their orders directing them to halt their strike, terming it as cold threats aimed at deterring them from enforcing their constitutional rights.
We call upon our members to comply with the strike notice that we had issued on 6th and the strike that commenced on 13th until we sit down with government in an agreement that we know will resolve these particular matters. Thank you.
Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Solidarity forever, for the unions makes us strong.
Away from that, Azimio leader Raila Odinga's bid for the African Union Commission chairperson seat has received a major boost after a game-changing decision was on Friday made at the body's headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The Executive AU Council on Friday unanimously adopted a critical decision that it is the turn of the Eastern Africa region to submit candidates for the AUC top position. The announcement was made by Kenya's Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, who is in Addis Ababa for the 22nd extraordinary session of the AU's Executive Council of Foreign Affairs Ministries.
In that context, we actually want to appreciate and thank our brothers and sisters in the African continent for making it clear, removing all ambiguities, that it is the turn of East Africa to provide leadership or to offer leadership in the African Union. So that is a very important statement, and equally for the deputy in the northern region. What it means for us in the East African region is that effectively all technical and legal hurdles have now been removed, and Kenya can now formally submit the candidate for the region, and really I don't have to mince my words anymore. Nothing should really bar, and nothing bars the opportunity for Raila to become the candidate for the region, and God willing, the chair of the African Union Commission. First of all, Raila has been Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya. Raila has got strong Pan-African credentials. Raila has seen both hot and cold.
Tension is high in Morija village following bandit attacks that have forced women and children to migrate to the Maralal chief office to seek refuge. The displaced residents are on the brink of starvation, calling on the government to restore security in the area. Shamila Baraza now reports.
As the shadows of fear lengthen, women and children from Samburu County have been forced to seek refuge in the chief's office following frequent attacks from bandits. Rafael Morio, one of the residents, indicates that the bandits have been giving them sleepless nights following the attack that has seen them losing their property and even dying in the hands of the bandits.
Sasa sisi tumeumia sana kwa sababu tumeumia na njaa, tumeumia na vita, kila saa kutoroka ni kutorokea adui kwa sababu ni vile tunaumia. Sasa hata mambuzi zetu tukiweka tukinyonyesha zinaenda zote. Sasa sisi tukaamua kutorokea kwa chief sisi wote.
The residents narrate that they migrated without anything and now they are suffering from hunger and starvation. They now want the county and national government to intervene in providing food and medical attention as well as restoring peace so that they can go back home and stay with their families.
Nimewasha shivi yangu, nimewasha kila kitu mahitaji yote, sina hata blanketi ya kulalia na sina hata ngozi ya kufunikana. Mwanyako ana watoto wadogo ndio amewasabia pamoja. Sisi wanyako tuko na watoto wadogo tumekuja bila chakula hivyo na uko kwa manyata chakula lakini mmeosha. Watoto amekufa sisi wasee. Tumekuja na shida yote lakini ninaomba Ruto anipatie msamaha.
Maralal Nyumbakumi chairman Guled Mohammed indicates that they received 30 people who are women and children who claim that they have been attacked by bandits. A situation that made them to provide them a place to sleep and food as they await for the government support and direction.
Tukapatia mahali ya kuweka mizigo na pia tukapatia wengine mahali ya kulala. Kwa vile wengi wao wameumia na njaa, hata leo tulijaribu kuwanunulia wengine maandazi hivi wakule ili wapate nguvu kidogo. Na tumeona sasa kuna wengine, kuna mafamilia moja kuwachukua hapa wanapeleka nyumbani hapa.
Shamila Baraza, Lookuptv.
That story by Shamila Baraza takes us for a very fast break here on the program. But when we come back, we'll be jumping into the center stage. And remember, tonight, women in film is what we are talking about. I will be speaking to an award-winning film director, producer, Wendy Kirore, who's already here in studio, and want to understand the journey through film in the country. And specifically, as a woman, as we celebrate women in this month of March, how did she get to win an award in a field that has highly been dominated by men for a very long time? But now women are stepping up, and she's among them. We take that break. Don't go too far. Coming up, she is an award-winning filmmaker, having been recognized for the documentary Genoa, The Rise of Gladys Wanga. Wendy Kirore takes center stage.
Leadership is leadership. If you are able to package yourself as a leader who is coming to make a difference in people's lives, then nothing will beat that.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. We jump right into the center stage, and as you have seen right there, a film by our very own guest in studio, who is Wendy Kirore, director, Tigan Studios, an award-winning director-producer. Welcome.
Asante sana, thank you.
How are you this evening?
I am amazingly happy, and thank you for having me.
How does it feel to be an award-winning filmmaker?
First of all, I would like to say thank you to WIFA Awards Academy for awarding the Genoa documentary as the best overall film and also best director during the WIFA Awards in 2024. Right. It's an amazing journey to be recognized and for someone to see that these people have been doing something and they deserve an award.
Right.
So it was an honor to me and my director Sandra Irungu to receive those awards.
So you feel like all the hard work, all the early mornings and late nights?
Yes, the whole documentary took us around 6 months of documenting. So it wasn't an easy journey, and it's not a journey that has ended. We're still going on.
Right.
Yes.
You know, at least for, and I understand production.
Yes.
You know, you tell me 6 months, I'm like, that's intense.
Filmmaking is not easy.
Right.
Many a times people look at a film, especially documentary, it's not easy gathering all this information. You look at something that is 3 minutes, it might have taken years to put together the whole footage and the whole information.
Right.
So,
and let's briefly talk about the making of Genoa, which is focusing on the rise of Gladys Wanga, who is governor
yes.
in Homa Bay County.
So how we came about going to do this story, Sandra Irungu, my director, had always been wanting to do this documentary. She'd been a photojournalist for a long time.
Right.
And she'd been wanting to document Gladys Wanga since people know Gladys Wanga and they're like, oh, Gladys Wanga is too loud, you know, as a politician.
Is fire.
Yeah, but we always wanted to understand who is Gladys Wanga
Right.
behind the political loud Gladys Wanga. And there was this call out for 7 female filmmakers to follow 7 leaders in Kenya by Media Focus in Africa in partnership with Flav and Diesel, DocuBox, and other partners.
Right.
So we applied and we were honored to be part of the people who were selected to do this story.
Right.
It has been an amazing journey following the story of Gladys Wanga during election and after election, and we are happy she won to be the first governor in Homa Bay and the first female governor in the region, which is a very, very male patriarchal space.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so now let's flash back
Yes.
a little bit to where the dream all began.
Whose dream? The dream for doing, you know, there's a lot of...
This
yes.
is the film industry.
Yes.
Which is wide. And now your journey to this, did you have a passion for it? When did you realize that, no, this is something I want to do it, I want to do it professionally, and I'm going for those awards?
Man, I joined the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication in the year 2008, and I had wanted to do editing. And then I got to Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, and at some point, I was hanging around guys who were doing camera.
Right.
And they kind of convinced me to join the camera class, and it was an amazing decision because there were less women taking up technical spaces in the industry, whether it's media or film. So I joined the camera class and graduated in 2011, and I've never turned my back on filmmaking. I've been doing this. I've been working in the media,
Right.
both local and international. I've been able to work on productions in Kenya and outside Kenya. And it's been an amazing journey working, especially as a technical person, as a camera lady.
Right.
Considering that we could be also less than 10 camera people at that time working in Kenya.
Right.
Yes.
But since then it has grown. We even have female camera people here in studio. So the strides have been made. And talk to us about what makes a good film. You know, you're an award filmmaker. So you're in a very good position. Just tell us what makes a good film.
There's so many things that contribute into a good film.
Right.
First, you have to have a good story. You know, you have to have a good story. And then now you have to go into the technical part where it comes with good pictures, good sound, good post-production, which brings in graphics and everything. So it's a whole pot, you know. But first of all, do you have a good story?
Right.
You know.
That's where it all begins.
Yes.
Having that good story. And so from your background, you were the technical person behind the camera. So did you find your transition a little easier? Because you already know what you want, you already know the kind of shot you want, you already know the opening shot that you want.
It is an interesting transition in that you've been working in behind the scenes alone and shooting for other people their story, but now you're coming and you want to do your story.
Right.
It might sometimes be challenging because you also want to be too controlling, when you're working with other camera people and sound guys, but it helps you because you already understand what kind of picture you want, what kind of quality of picture you want to put out there.
Right.
Yes.
And being a woman at the time when there are not as many ladies as they are right now, how did you feel at the time? Did you feel tough to be among the boys?
You had to toughen up. You know, you have to toughen up and you have to work 101 times more than the men to prove that you're good at this, to prove that you're capable of doing this, because it's a technical job and many a times people, you know, look over what you do or your successes and they want to attribute it to other men. So when people are running 100 meters, you have to run 150 to prove that you can do this. And many a times a mistake done by a woman can be easily overjudged. So you really, really have to be pro. But I'm happy I had people who held my hand. I had other men who held my hand. I had other females in this space that also were, you know, advising you and telling you this is how to go about it, try this, try that. So it's been amazing to also have mentors in the industry, yes.
Right. And when you talk about mentors in the industry, there are names like Wanuri Kahyu that come across, Nini Wasera. So in that space, women are coming up. So is there one specific, say, producer, director that you look up to, you have worked with and you're amazed by their work?
There's so many people, but first of all, let me talk about the documentary that we just talked about, Genoa.
Right.
When Genoa pre-production phase started,
we got Genoa.
Yes.
I just say Genoa.
Genoa. Yes, the rise of Gladys Wanga. When the Media Focus in Africa did a call out in partnership with DocuBox and other partners, we got a chance to be mentored by two amazing female filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, one of them being Zipi Kimundu, which is amazing, and Lydia Matata, among other. And then in post-production, we were mentored by Frankie of African Post Office. So we have these women who really guide you and tell you this is how to produce, this is how to do proposals, this is how to script, because some of us were moving from fiction to documentary, some were moving from media side to film. Right. So it was amazing to be taught how documentary filmmaking is done. But in my journey also I've had other amazing mentors like Georgina of GG Images. I look up to people like Judy Kibinge of DocuBox. You know, there's so many names that I could name of people I look up to and I would want to be able to tell my stories.
Right.
Like them.
So there is the old narrative, some people call it sick old narrative, that women don't really support other women. But in the film industry, how has that journey been for you?
I believe we humans generally could easily support each other. And there are those few cases whereby you have an issue with someone, but I've had amazing journey that people are able to support each other. And we need to kill the narrative that women fight each other, because we make it a norm, and the rest of the people out there will think these women can never work together. This Filamu Dada was a cohort for women directors, women producers, women post-production, following women leaders. So you see, actually women can support each other.
Right.
Yes.
And do you ever make a film so good that you want to be on the other side?
We've gotten to some points whereby you do a story and you end up becoming part of the story.
Right.
Yes. And as a filmmaker, sometimes you have to learn when to take the back seat so that you can allow your character also to, to shine. Yes.
Okay. So, and one, I know Genoa is celebrated because it's an award-winning film. But besides Genoa, which other films have you worked on as well?
I've done a couple of local Kenyan films. Been able to work on, I worked on Majuto as a co-producer, which was a web series. It was talking about counter-terrorism in East Africa.
Right.
I've worked on other short films with other Kenyan local filmmakers, worked on Stay series, but many a times I worked as a technical person, as a camera person.
Right.
But for the past 6 years, I've been purely on documentaries, especially impact stories on human interest.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, and the essence of making films, we want to start conversations, making people aware of what's happening around them, and as well generate an income. So the question of money always comes in.
Yes.
So the film industry, is there money in the film industry?
The film industry has a potential of making money.
Right.
It has potential of being a biggest contributor to the economy of this country, but we have to set up some things in the system, because the whole art industry for the longest time hasn't been appreciated as a profession, as a career, and we don't have proper guidelines on where we lie on matters, economy and finances, and that's why it's difficult. You make a film and it's difficult to recover your money.
Right.
Because most people would be like, it's just pictures, I want to watch your film for free, but they don't want to consider the money you put in, because filmmaking is really expensive. Getting equipment, getting to locations, the whole logistic thing is really expensive.
Right.
So we would love to get even policy spaces whereby we can start discussing how the whole filmmaking can be valued, in monetary ways.
Right.
Yes.
And the opportunities that are there. We have Kenyan films that are on Showmax, some that are on Netflix. So the opportunities have grown as well in the industry.
The whole space, yes, especially in distribution, has improved. And we appreciate also the fact that Kenyans have begun to watch Kenyan films.
Right.
And even for us as documentary filmmakers, we've been in a space whereby people don't watch documentaries. People think the only movies that can be watched are fiction.
Right.
So we've seen a transition in the past few years where people can pay to go watch cinemas in Kenya. People watch when we have premieres. People are willing to pay.
Right.
So such spaces and such opportunities like Netflix, Showmax, are endorsing the whole film industry in that you can make money and you can make a living as a filmmaker. And also the other thing is the whole digital space.
Right.
The whole digital space has been able to open up. We're having even people who are non-filmmakers who are now thinking, I need to take this up seriously as a content creator, and it's opening up the whole creative space whereby you don't necessarily have to wait until you have a big screen. You can start putting out your content slowly and build up your space.
And also being in an era where people want to watch on demand. So if I feel like I want to do a documentary, I'll just go look for a documentary and not wait until a documentary is given to me.
Yes.
Right. And now the enemy, piracy. We know the Kenyans, they're always people who know the movie is out today, even internationally. A movie is out today, but tomorrow someone is telling you, you want a movie?
Trust me, it's a whole, I don't know whether to call it a ghost or a whole animal that we need to fight. But one thing I love is sometimes you need to look at how you go about your distribution also, because you can try as much as your best to control it and manage it before it can get to the whole piracy space.
Right.
Sometimes all this piracy thing is a difficult thing because even the ones who are pirating don't know it's a mistake. They think they are helping you publicize your product,
right.
But how often do you go to a supermarket and pick bread and just run away with it? You have
never.
Yeah, you have to pay at the counter. So we're still figuring out the whole space, and that's why I was telling you we need to set up systems that could easily help and control things for filmmakers and generally the creative space.
Right. And now let's go back and talk about Genoa. Yes. You know, my director is telling me it's not Genoa.
Yes, Genoa.
Genoa. So let's talk about Genoa. You said that it's in line with the Filamu Dada.
Yes.
And so you're following several women leaders in the country. So is there criteria that you used to select these women leaders?
When there was a call out by Media Focus in Africa, Flav and Diesel in partnership with DocuBox and other partners, they'd done a huge call out for Kenyans. And definitely I'm sure there were other amazing filmmakers that wanted to follow other amazing leaders.
Right.
But they had to zero it down to 7. And in these 7, we had a well distributed in terms of region and in terms of space in leadership. So we had a story like Donya, The Voice of the People by Irene Mkonyoro and Deborah, which was following the women rep for Kisii. We had Entomononi Nagol by Cynthia Abdallah, Ivy Adambi and Skita, which was following a chief from Kajiado, who had been fought for days by the men, and yet he had been appointed by the government. And then we had another story, The Nomad's Daughter by Gumato Denge and Aisha.
Right.
And then we had, The Nomad's Daughter also was following, she's a woman rep for Isiolo. And then we had Maito, which was following Sabina Chege, who is more on the national politics.
Right.
We had Cheptigonyol, which was done by Miriam Kosgei, and Cherotich Kibet, which was following the Nandi women rep, Cynthia Muge. And then we had now Genoa, the rise of Gladys Wanga,
Genoa.
yes, which was following Gladys Wanga, who ended up becoming the governor for Homa Bay County. And finally, we had The Force Within by Joan Kabugo and Ashley Murugi, which was following Cecily Mbarire from Embu.
Right.
And these amazing 7 leaders, randomly, we were following them during election. And guess what? They all won, which was amazing. And we are hoping these women get to retain their spaces, because when you look at the amazing work they are doing, it's really beautiful to watch these women, you know. Because for the longest time, people always believed, you know, women doesn't have space in leadership, they don't have a voice, you speak when you're spoken to. But look at what our character Gladys Wanga is doing at Homa Bay first term, and she's really doing amazing.
Right.
Yes, and the whole G7 thing that the president was launching the other day, I am sure is coming from the fact that some of the women that have been elected are really doing amazing things, because otherwise then the president wouldn't be endorsing it.
Right.
Yes.
Women leaders right there. And so in essence, again, Filamu Dada is also empowering other women, because if you tell stories of women leaders,
yes,
then we are empowering women everywhere.
Because for the longest time, the stories, even when we were doing research for all these stories, for me as Wendy, I looked around and I noticed when you search the bios for our female leaders, many times you find the gossip and the you know, the gossips about these women.
Right.
But when you look for the men, you'll find their news interviews, you'll find their breakfast shows, you'll find a whole article written about what they have done in their constituents.
Right.
But for women, many a times it's just the gossip and the bad vibes about the women that are running on the socials. So these stories will really help other people to look at women leaders as leaders, not just as women.
Right, time to change the narrative.
We have to change it, because people will be like, she's just a woman leader. No, she is a leader.
Right.
Yes.
Right. She has her own, in her own right. She has made significant development.
Yes, and we hoping such stories can be used as a way of a reference point for other women who would want to vie in the future, in that you want to be a governor, this is how to go about it, these are some of the challenges you'll go through, and this is how to handle them. And besides that, we would like to have more women in elective spaces, not just affirmative.
Right.
Not because in nomination sometimes you don't get even to vote, you don't get to have a bigger say. We need more elected members.
Right.
Yes.
And you're in the creative space. There is a block from time to time. How do you handle it all? I know there can be a lot of pressure in this kind of work, and so you can have a freeze. How do you work that out?
It's good to have friends to talk to. First thing first, it's good to have friends to talk to and be able to release, because the whole creative space is not easy. One, you do films and then it's not be able to make money back.
Right.
That is the first thing that could easily stress you, and that's why sometimes you see issues to do with mental health amongst the creatives.
Right.
And then also there's this imagination that people have that creatives easily have money. But also we need to, I don't know how we will re-educate our audience to understand that, yes, I could be out there, you seeing my face on screens, you seeing my face on set, but how can our audience also support in terms of pay for our content, then I'll make the money, so that you don't see the imaginary money by the fact that you are a celebrity.
So you stop saying, oh, but I see you on screens.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's good to also have this, you see collectives, like Filamu Dada has become a collective, so you can talk to each other, because when you're filming, sometimes it stresses you, sometimes your character is not even picking your calls, sometimes even,
Yeah.
So you need to have collectives where you can easily release the stress that comes from production or just general stress in life. And it would be good for creatives to be able to talk to each other and talk about the issues that they have.
Right.
And then we can have an amazing and
Right.
good vibes in the industry.
Okay, and finally,
Yes.
Making films, being in the film industry, many people are trying to come up and challenges of every day. But one person has that dream. How can they keep the hope alive?
Keep doing what you do, because the more you're doing it, the more you'll fall in love with it. The beautiful thing about filmmaking is, I always say filmmakers are like gods. They're always creating things. They're always creating people. They're always creating spaces. They're creating their own universes. So the more you're doing, the more you fall in love, because you're always meeting new people. You're always going to new spaces. Just keep doing. Don't give up. Do your stories.
Right, and you're among the women. When you're winning films, then it works for other women who are coming up as well, and so people are getting inspired. What do you think the future looks like for women in film as we wind up?
The most beautiful thing in the past few years, I've been able to see the change. Women are taking up space, especially in the film industry.
Right.
The women are taking up space, and the most amazing thing is that even taking up managerial and technical spaces. So in as much as there are few challenges, of course the men will still be they're always ahead, and the men have always had this space. I'm happy that the women in this country, Kenya, are really, really going for it. They're not waiting to be handed over to, they're just taking up the space. And within the Filamu Dada and other institutions, we're happy that when we are doing our screenings, we usually have panel talks, and we have master classes, and these things will enable young females to be able to also learn from us and move forward and join the whole film industry.
Right, and thank you so much. There was a question a very burning question that I was waiting to load.
Yes.
Oh, now it's here. There's a question that I guess you have to address. Many people are interested and they want to get into the space. The question goes, I have been in the film for the past year. I recently made a film that I made not with the intention of making money out of it, though it cost me a lot. Did I do wrong, or should I tell my stories with the aim or broaden my mind for cash?
First, you're never wrong. You did your story. The most important thing is kudos. At least you've taken the step of doing that story, because some of us have been having scripts in our heads. We have them in our books somewhere in our bedrooms, but people haven't been able to execute. The fact that you've done your film and it will get out there is the first step. At least you've done something. In as much as she's saying she didn't have the intention of making money, and then later on you realize, I used a lot of money.
Yeah.
You still have the opportunity also of doing distribution and figure out how to recover. At least you have a product that you can show people and say, this is what I have.
There's evidence.
Yeah,
this is what I can do.
Yes,
what I've done.
yes, that is the most important thing. At least you've put in the work and you have a product at hand.
Right. Thank you so much. My director is telling me time is really up. But thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you're doing, because you're telling stories that are impacting lives, stories that really matter, that we may not focus on so much. But then when you see it, you're like, oh, that is impactful to society. So we appreciate you, and during this month, we honor you.
Thank you so much for having me in studio. On behalf of Filamu Dada, on behalf of my director, Sandra Wongo, and the team, thank you so much.
Right, and that is our conversation right here on Center Stage. We've been focusing on women in film and speaking to Wendy Kirore, who is the director at Tegan Studios. She is an award-winning filmmaker. And of course, let's keep the conversation going across all our social media platforms at Lookuptv on Facebook, Lookuptv on X, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. We take a break. I'll be back with the news in a short while. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. This is Lookup Weekend. Nancy Nalima here and Felista Adundo on the sign language interpretation. Moving on, Nairobi County Government has moved in to develop a county adolescent and youth reproductive health implementation framework following the rise in teenage pregnancies and HIV/AIDS cases in Nairobi that has been attributed to the rise in cases of group sex among youth in the county.
In a joint collaboration with the Network for Adolescents and Youth of Africa, NAYA, Nairobi County Government has moved to develop a county adolescent and youth productive health implementation framework following the rise of teenage pregnancies and HIV/AIDS in Nairobi County that has been attributed to the rise of cases of group sex among youths in the county.
So we are asking ourselves, what are those things that we have achieved? What have we done together? And what are those things that are remaining that we must focus on in order to ensure that adolescents and young people enjoy their sexual and reproductive health and rights and are free from diseases and harm.
According to Robert Aseda, head of programs NAYA, there's an urgent need to address the sexual challenges facing the teenagers, noting that among the issues raised were emerging was the recent rise in cases of murder targeting young women, sexual orgies and early pregnancies among the youth.
When you speak about femicide, that's sexual and gender-based violence comes in. So we are looking at the data. What is the data telling us? Looking at the voices of young people, what are they saying? What are the key issues that we need to listen?
Kenyans, however, are calling the government to intervene and also adolescents to abstain from sex, as the rise in cases of group sex among youths in the county signifies a serious health crisis.
Of course, we are not safe. Kwa sababu msichana mmoja kama anaweza pea watu zaidi ya 30, na hao 30 wakipea kila mtu 30, watakuwa wangapi? Na hao wengine 30 wapea kila mtu 30, si Kenya imeisha? Ni vile sasa majukumu ni kwetu, kila Mkenya na kila mtu achichunge.
Yangu ninasema hawa watoto wetu wadogo wanafaa wajilinde, sababu dunia ya saa hii mtu una hustle, unatafuta kivyako. Unaweza enda hata kazi ya house girl uandikwe ufanye hiyo kazi kuliko kutembea ukijiuza ama kutafuta wa baba wakubwa upate tu ugonjwa isiyojulikana.
We are not safe as a country. These are Kenyan sentiments. Kenyans now wanting the government to take legal action on those practicing prostitution and abusing sex to meet their financial needs. Maven Getembe, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Thank you, Getembe. According to the Coast of Hunger in Africa cohort, the report, the country loses 373.9 billion shillings every year as a result of malnutrition, an amount higher than 316.5 billion shillings allocated to the counties as equitable shareable revenue in the 2019-2020 financial year.
Malnutrition is robbing future generations of their earning potential and stands in the way of Kenya's economic development. This is according to a report on the cost of hunger in Africa. Speaking during a sensitization workshop for project dubbed Vegetable for All in Nakuru, Communication Manager Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition said investing in nutrition had immense economic returns. Msembi said the project aims to contribute to improving nutritious diets through increased consumption of safe vegetables, also use of vegetables in the Kenyan cuisine.
Kenya is losing about 373.9 billion every year as a result of malnutrition, and therefore really this means that we need concerted efforts from the government, the private sector, civil society, communities, the media.
According to the recent Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, the country had 18 in every 100 of its children suffering from malnutrition and stunted growth. Despite improvements that had been recorded by previous surveys, there is a need to bridge the gap between food production and nutritional requirements among its residents for sustainability.
We have designed and are implementing the Vegetables for All project, among other projects, to ensure that we improve access to healthier diets by the residents of Nakuru County. As far as Kenya is concerned, we, according to the Kenya Demographic Health Survey report that was released last year by the government of Kenya, the standing rates are nationally, they average at 18%, while here in Nakuru County, the standing rates are at about 18.5%. That means a lot really needs to be done by different stakeholders to address this issue of malnutrition.
Sonia Onesmus, Lookuptv.
As Kenyans prepare to witness the long-awaited World Rally Championship, hotels in Naivasha have recorded a high number of people who have booked their hotels to witness the event during the Easter weekend. According to the Nakuru County Tourism Association Chairman David Mwangi, the town was expecting over 100,000 people, but the people exceeded the number.
2 weeks before the long-awaited World Rally Championship that happen every year, all major hotels in the lakeside are fully booked for the event that will kick off on the 28th of March. David Mwangi, the Nakuru County Tourism Association chairman, said that despite the country facing financial crisis, hotels in Naivasha, Nakuru and Gilgil have recorded high business ahead of the global event.
As because as early as yesterday, we were recording full booking in most of the places. And this one is compounded by the fact that Easter and Safari are the same dates.
After Lemiyan Hotel recorded the highest number of the visitors, the hotel's general manager, Anthony Mwangi, said that the hotel, which started 2 years ago, will be a game changer in the hospitality sector in Nakuru County.
We are very much prepared for the activities that are about to happen in Naivasha. We have the Safari Rally and we have Easter. To our surprise, it has started so early. As from today, our facility is full. We already have full booked rooms, and all our halls are full for this week. So we thank God because those activities that are about to come has really maybe actualized our dream, and it has made it possible for more people to venture in Naivasha.
Moreover, the CEC for Trade in Nakuru, Stephen Kuria, was full of praise for the new hotel, noting that the county will continue to support investors through various incentives.
This is huge. Lemiyan is huge. It's huge news. It's huge investment in Nakuru, not only in terms of employment, but also the economic growth that is going to coast around this area. The suppliers are going to enjoy the benefits of this facility.
Ibikadenyi, Lookuptv.
The Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, has raised concern, saying that the education sector is on its knees due to the failure of government to release capitation fees. NAT Union has termed the situation as pathetic, with teachers struggling to run their institutions due to the current financial crisis, even as the government promised to release the funds. According to NAT Secretary General Collins Oyu, the government is slowly crawling back gains made in the education sector.
Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Collins Oyu, has raised concerns over the government's capitation funds. Addressing the media in Naivasha County after meeting all the union's branch secretaries, Oyu noted that the government reduced capitation fees for secondary schools from 21,000 Kenyan shillings to 17,000 Kenyan shillings without any explanation.
The heads have rebelled. The principals have rebelled. You cannot keep on students in school while they're hungry. So they said these learners must go back home. And that is contrary to the policy that we have in this country. All learners must be in school. We want to appeal to the government. Can we check on timely capitation?
Religious leaders from different unions, including NCCK, KCCB and SUPKEM, in collaboration with social organizations, want the women representative of Bungoma County, Catherine Wambilianga, to use the building as a center for rescuing children experiencing gender-based violence. They pointed out that victims of sexual violence are still seeking help from other counties despite the building's existence.
Viongozi wetu tunapoongea is like inakuwa mchezo. Wanasema wana support, lakini hakuna siku utaona kwamba mtu ameongelea juu ya Ndengela Rescue Center. Ndiposa leo tuna demand kama mama wa Bungoma County.
The school's unique farming program piloted in Ildamat Secondary School, Kajiado Central Sub-County, Habamba harvest enough to feed students and surplus harvest sold, intending to fund needy students' bursary. The school's principal Pius Kemita says that the project has a positive impact not only to the school but also to the entire neighborhood.
Ile pesa ambayo tunatumia kununua chakula sasa itapungua kwa sababu chakula ambacho tunapata hapa kimesaidia.
Elsewhere, the fishermen in Rarieda Sub-County are now appealing for the government support to enable them enhance the fight against illegal fishing gears. Led by Rarieda Sub-County Beach Management Unit's Network Chairman Walter Kwenya, the fishermen stated that they have been trying their level best to fight the unlawful fishing gears, but at times get overwhelmed. He emphasized on the need for them to not only confiscate the illegal fishing gears, but make arrests as well.
Victoria are now suffering because some of our friends, our fishermen, are using very illegal nets, and it is interfering with the catch, thus interfering with the system. Now the business is going down because of this kind of crackdown.
Maureen Bosire, Lookuptv.
Let's now get sporty. The newly launched Dandora Stadium by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja brings a new state-of-the-art construction, in the football arena. And as our reporter Robert Chacha reports, the 3,000-seater is set to benefit the local, especially grassroots football.
Welcome to Dandora Stadium, located at the heart of Dandora slum. Launched by Nairobi Governor Jenson Sakaja, the 3,000-seater capacity brings a new hope to the local, especially the grassroots football enthusiast. The arena will be used for various local leagues, with the local teaming as a perfect place to scout players from areas, as well as serving as exposure to many young talents from Dandora.
Unajua, it's very important ikianza kwa community kwa sababu italeta good incentives. Vijana wataonekana, kisha tuna game hapa, so itakuwa ni a good platform vijana wajiuze. Na ukiwa ni kijana na unakaa unashokeshia talent hapa, then God anakubless na pia talent yako inakuwa exposed.
Yeah, sana kwa kiwanja imemaliziwa. Yeah, makoches wengi watakuja kutuona, tutaselektiwa tuende timu kubwa. That's my happiness, yeah.
They now call for the other counties to embrace the same in order to nurture talents, hence promoting the growth of sports in the country.
Serikali kupitia county governments invest sana kwa hizi programs, hizi viwanja, make sure wamejenga hizi viwanja in each and every sub county kama inawezekana. Alafu wajaribu pia kuinvest sana kwa youths, kwa sports, kwa sababu tunajua talents zimepeleka watu mbali.
Ningeomba management ya hii kiwanja at least learn lessons kutoka kwa City Stadium na Jericho Stadium. Why? Zimekuwa overused. So facility kama hii management ingeangalia at least for balance.
The completion of the new Dandora Stadium brings hope to many talents, especially footballers here in Dandora. Their hope is various counties in the country will embrace such development to help in the construction of such stadiums in their counties, to help in nurture their talents and even growth of more talents such as football and basketball and many other sports. Robert Chacha from the Dandora Stadium, Nairobi County.
Thank you, Chacha. All is set for the Nairobi Chapa Dimba finals this weekend at the new Dandora Stadium. Our reporter Quincy James with more.
A total of 8 teams will battle for the Nairobi Regional Chapa Dimba title encounter at Dandora Stadium. In the girls category, the teams are Masericodie Queens from Makadara, Page Vision Ladies from Mathare Valley, and Dagoretti Mixed Girls and Beijing Riders from Mathare Valley. And that of the boys includes Young Kings from Dandora, Lucky Summer Sports Club from Lucky Summer, Macmillan FC from Landi Mawe, and Dagoretti Lions from Dagoretti.
In terms of expectations, we expect a huge crowd being in the heart of an estate. We expect huge numbers on ground, high quality and level of football from all the 8 teams. I know it's going to be really exciting in terms of how they come out, and we're just calling on all the fans around to just come and support their teams, support our youth, and to support this engagement that is Chapa Dimba.
Ni vizuri sana Chapa Dimba inafungua ikiwanja Dandora na ni kitu mzuri sana especially for community kama ya Dandora kuwa na facility kama hii.
The weekend's matches follow successful grassroots games played across the 17 sub-counties, attracting over 310 teams. The winners from each semi-final group will vie for victory in the final slated for Sunday, where each winning team, boys and girls, will take home 250,000 Kenyan shillings and book a slot to represent the region at the national finals set for early next year.
And we come to the end of the broadcast this evening. Kennedy Jumba Serego via Facebook says, watching live from Likuyani, Kakamega County. Thank you so much. And Reni Artiste says he has a right to. This is in response to the story of Jowie Irungu, who is appealing the court's decision to sentence him to death. And let's keep the engagement going across all our socials. We are at Lookuptv on Facebook, Lookuptv on X, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you so much for watching. Keep it right here on Lookuptv as you usher in the weekend. We'll be right here to inform you with our news stories that are factual and timely. I am Nancy Nalima. Our sign language interpreter has been Felista Adundo. And of course, our guest in studio this evening, we are speaking to a renowned film director, award-winning. And of course, the conversation that we've had, we appreciate you so much for watching. Have yourselves a pleasant evening and good night.